How we know that proper diet is an important cavity prevention strategy. There's a lot of evidence we can review, but let's first start with some basics on how cavities form to begin with. There are microscopic bugs in your mouth called bacteria, and some of these bacteria may eat the sugars that you eat. From these sugars, they produce acid. The acid dissolves the first layer of the tooth called enamel. Once it has dissolved the tooth through the first layer and it gets to the second layer, a hole is created that is technically called a cavitated lesion, or commonly referred to as a cavity. From the diagram, if there is no sugar for the bacteria to eat, they can't make acid. With no acid, the tooth can't dissolve, so no cavity. A plus is that with no sugar for the bacteria to eat, they starve to death. An added bonus. Let's look at some fascinating data from real life regarding the addition and restriction of sugars and the resulting cavity activity. Greenland and traditional Inuit diet, according to Google, consisted of fish, seal, whale, along with some reindeer and muskox. I don't know about you, but after eating this all my life, I would be ready for some sugar. And they were. From 1901, when only 17% of the food was imported into Greenland, some areas of Greenland reached over 90% imported foods. Along with these imports, consisted of sugars among many other food groups, cavities increased from 0 to 40% by 1935. Hawaii, in 1776, Captain James Cook was the first recorded European to make contact with the Polynesians in the island chain. Until this time, like the Greenlanders, they relied on the sea for much of their subsistence. However, they did have some native fruits such as Hawaiian gooseberry, breadfruit, and mountain apple, with the corresponding relatively small amount of sugars. When teeth of children were examined who lived in this period, it was found that 10% had cavities, compared to 71% today. There is a lesson here, and that is that non-added sugars, such as in fruits, does not seem to make an overwhelming impact on decay, although it does some. Wartime rationing of food, including sugars, in British children resulted in a decrease of cavity formation of 40% in World War I and 30% in World War II. The Vivaldi study. This well-designed and executed study was carried out at a mental institution in Sweden. Consisted of dividing the patients up into different groups and feeding various amounts of types of sweets, along with varying the frequency of consumption. The study was done according to the investigators because long-term studies on human beings seem to be the only method capable of answering the question of causal relationship between carbohydrate intake and dental caries. Conclusions from the authors. The risk of sugar causing cavities increases if consumed between regular meals and given in a form that is sticky and retained on the surface of the teeth. How frequently between meals? Not all that frequent. They were given at 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning and 1:30 and 2:30 in the afternoon, a total of 4 times in addition to regular meals. This is very little compared to a child that has constant access to carbohydrate-rich snacks. Now you know the role that sugar plays in cavity formation. If you've learned something from this video, please like, share, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.